Hey everybody, welcome back to Yays and Booze. Good morning. It's probably the afternoon at this point. We got SmackDown to go over. SmackDown was in good old Beantown, and it was a SmackDown. If you're new here and don't know what Yays and Booze is, basically it's hot takes, but I take your opinion and I give it a yay or a boo, and that's just my opinion. It's not too deep. Before we get started, please make sure you subscribe, leave your likes, leave your comments, turn on the bell for notifications, and check out my Patreon for 3 to 5 weekly match watch-alongs a week. All right, with that said, let's get started. First one here says, Solo's booking has been terrible since he became the US champ. He should be a credible/dominant threat IMO. He always loses in these unnecessary tag or non-title matches with him taking the pin, most likely as the champ SMH. Just make it make sense for real at this point. Okay, I see where you're coming from. I also want my champions to be booked strong, especially if they have the championship. There's a reason they should have the championship, right? However, this is a different Solo Sikoa. This isn't like the quiet, intimidating, ready to snap at a moment's notice Solo Sikoa that was in the OG bloodline. This is like new, silly Solo Sikoa that has his MFT goons with him. He's now turned into this like over cocky heel. Also a heel that won the championship and retained over Jacob Fatu because of shenanigans and because of outside help. So again, I get what you're saying, but I just don't know if Solo's that sort of heel. So I am going to give this a boo. But I do agree with you, the US champ should be getting some wins for sure. Throw him a random squash match to make him feel dominant. We know this from IGM bros. To your point though, if it's like a random tag or whatever, he probably shouldn't be eating the pin. If it's like a one-on-one match against a Sami Zayn that's like made to build up Sammy so he can become like the #1 contender, or so you start to think like, oh, Solo might lose it to Sami, that's a different thing. But if it's just like an unnecessary tag team match, I think you can get Solo wins, or at least not taking the pin. So that part, like, I get what you're saying and I agree, but not every champion's the same. Some champions are like, I got lucky with this and I'm not that intimidating 2025 Solo Sikoa. All right, speaking of Sami, this next one says, Sami should not keep winning and pinning the US champion twice in a row. Solo is looking like a goof now, even though he is still getting pushed really good. Yeah, again, I think that's the problem, is we all think this is Solo Sikoa of old. Solo Sikoa is a goof. Now, yes, he's still a force to be reckoned with in the ring. He is still built up as a fairly dominant guy. Well, that's not even true. I take that back, because he's not. He is just kind of a chicken shit heel that wins with the MFTs. I'm kind of just repeating myself, but I think the point of Sami winning is to build him up. And sure, people are sick of the underdog story and blah, blah, blah. I get it. Sami being shifted over to SmackDown, even though before he didn't want to move brands, even though Seth Rollins was going to promise a world title match, and he's moved over now to go for a mid-card title. I'm fully in the camp, and none of that makes sense. But purely looking at these two characters in the story, that makes sense, and I'm fine with. While, again, I do think champions should win stuff, I think there's a balance, right? I don't think this is as black and white as we're making it. So I'm going to ultimately give this a boo, which it's another one of I see where you're getting at, though. This one says, I really wish they would push Chelsea and the Secret Harvest into the WWE title picture with Tiffany. Thank you for your service. Chelsea is so underrated and deserves so much more than just being a foil for whatever babyface they want her to put over. I fully agree. This is getting a yay. Finally, we got a yay here. I think we'll talk about Tiffany Stratton later, but if you look at the women's division on SmackDown struggling, right? Sorry, I had to double check that was recording. I had PTSD from the last Stash Club podcast. But yeah, not to jump ahead, but Tiffany is going up against Nia again. Tiffany already beat Jade, and for some reason, talents like a Candice LeRae and a Chelsea Green, and I guess the rest of Secret Harvest, are just being put in this like super comedy, we always lose and get our face metaphorically and actually shoved in cake. Chelsea Green is one of the best women's wrestlers they have on the roster, and I fully agree they should be using her. She had a great US title run. So far, by a mile, she's the best booked women's US champion. I get there's only 3 in total, including Chelsea, but still, I think Chelsea deserves the world title soon. I would even love it this year. But even if you want to keep it on Tiffany or whoever the world champion is, like, Chelsea Green is a very formidable opponent to build up and put against the likes of a Tiffany Stratton. And while she was US champion, it seemed like we were like going this way with Chelsea, and then we go down, then we get a little hope, and then now again she's kind of a, I wouldn't say comedy act, but I think you're right, where she's just kind of foil for whatever babyface, not just repeat your words. But yeah, I don't love it. I did search for Penta versus Chelsea Green from Lucha Underground the other day. Couldn't find a version that wasn't like 240p, but I'm on the lookout. I haven't seen that match in full. This next one says, it was good to see the Wyatt Six inserted into the background of so many potential storylines. Now the WWE needs to follow through with making things actually happen for them. I really want to like the faction, but they've really dropped the ball with them since their debut. Okay, I'm giving this a yay, because I also really want to like the faction, and I have not been a fan of the Wyatt Six for a minute. And it's unfortunate, because I like the gimmick. I think there's so much potential, but they're just not doing it for me. So yes, I do like them maybe getting back to the core of the Wyatt Six and then like stalking people, being in the background of stuff, maybe leaning back more into people who have like betrayed their friends and family. That'd be kind of cool. But, and maybe this is part of it, but it looks like they're leaning into, we're gonna talk about it in other takes, but maybe we're leaning into MTF feuds. I don't know. I would rather them drop the titles back to like the core of the tag team division and then kind of just do their like group stuff. They want to do group stuff. But yeah, baseline, I like it. And same with you. I want to see them booked better. I'm definitely proceeding with caution, but we'll see what happens. All right, speaking of, they should make an MFT versus Wyatt Six storyline. Okay. I appreciate your optimism. I really do. Tala and Eric can go toe-to-toe and have a beast match. Okay. Howdy versus Solo, the two leaders, to me will be a good match. Then JC and Loa versus Dexter and Gacy for a tag action. I feel bad leaving Nikki out though, but I'm sure there's some way to incorporate her. Yeah, MFT's gotta get someone to go against Nikki. The technical skills of the pairs will be interesting to me, and then it leans away from the Bloodline versus Bloodline feud everyone seems to hate now. And maybe I'm just like so off the Wyatt Six that I'm not loving this. I'm also so like, these are my two least favorite factions / group / things in the WWE right now, and then putting them together in a feud doesn't smell like magic to me. So I'm personally giving this a boo. However, and I say this in a lot of videos, I love your hope, I love your optimism, I love your fandom. I don't know many people that are clamoring for Tala Tonga versus Eric Rowan, or a JC Mateo and Tonga Loa team up against Dexter and Gacy. But I appreciate that you do, and more people should be like you, including myself maybe, I don't know. But I get what you're saying at the end, where I'm not even that excited if we're doing like MFTs versus like reformed Bloodline with like Jacob, Jimmy, Sammy, and then if we can get Jay in the mix before November. I think I would prefer that versus the Wyatts. It just doesn't scream like a War Games match, and like, not that this is what you're saying, but to me, this is what that would be leading to, and maybe it doesn't. Maybe you do Wyatt Six and MFTs before War Games, so once you get close to War Games, you lead into Bloodline 6.0 with Sammy and Jacob. I like that you like this. It doesn't seem for me. However, and again, I say this for everything that I'm not instantly locked in on, I am always optimistic to being proven wrong, having my mind changed, or being pleasantly surprised. Example one, Jelly Roll at SummerSlam. The match was like a lot better than we thought. But yeah, I'm gonna move on. This one says, don't care what kind of match it is, but I want to see Nathan Frazier versus Braun Breaker in a match for no other reason other than to see them run the ropes back and forth to see who's faster. This is getting a yay. Low key, oh man, it's super impressive that Braun's that fast, because Nathan's a lot smaller and it's like more obvious he could be that fast. I would love to see them in a straight up race. If we could just get like a WWE Unreal clip or something of these two like in the back parking lot, just doing a quick dash. I'd pay some money to see it. I might pay for ESPN to see it. Our next one says, after all the quote cross support is online claims from various commentators, there seems to be a strange hate for Cross for no reason. Victory laps that there was no We Want Cross chance in Canada, where Sammy is it's his hometown there. And when there's We Want Cross chance on SmackDown, there's complete silence and even denial that they happened. Okay, all right. Couple things here. I think I'm probably definitely in the camp of the cross support is online, and I'm dying on that hill. I still think that's true. However, I am not in the like I hate Cross. Like I'm more so in the camp of just like, I don't really care what's going on, and I'm just taking an interest on the situation and conversations and different things going on, if it's a work or it's not a work, and the different fandoms coming out, which I know is maybe contradictory to I don't care, but I'm more so interested in like the overall thing of it than like I do care about Karrion Kross, because like, you know, I just haven't been a Karrion Kross fan necessarily. And again, I always say it's not it's a character on TV. People get that misconstrued. It's not. Karrion Kross is a sweetheart. I want the best for him, but like the Karrion Kross we see on TV, the character is just like, yeah, it's whatever to me. I'm just not hooked. Anyway, you know, I'm also not going to be taking victory laps of like, you know, oh, like there wasn't support or whatever. I mean, I'm just here to point out what's needing to be pointed out. Now, listen, you know, the big thing here is We Want Cross chance on SmackDown. I listened to the clip. I watched SmackDown last night. There was like one moment at the beginning of the show during a Sami Zayn promo where there was a very, very small handful of people, and a handful of people that were starting a We Want Cross chant that maybe lasted for 10, 15 seconds, and that's generous. I'm not trying to come off like a hater. That's just how it was. That's just what it was. And yes, like there are fans in real life. There are fans that are online that show up in real life, you know? But I don't think it's crazy to say that the majority and the loudest people are online. The biggest push is online, as seen. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of. I didn't see any. I'm sure that I can't say definitively if there was 0, but I didn't see any cross signs. And like, if that's the only chant that like, or moment of a chant that people are holding on to, like. I think we're grasping at straws. I don't know. I'm not trying to come off as a hater or anti-Karrion Kross. I'm sure I'm not doing a great job at not coming across that way. Again, wherever Karrion Kross goes, whether it's a work and he stays in WWE or he goes to TNA, AEW, ROH, Japan, wherever he goes, Indies, I just want all these same fans to still support him as much as they are now because he deserves it. And it's going to be very disappointing if the fans just don't do that. And I could see them very well not doing that. So that's my 2 cents. All right, next one that says, Nick Aldis needs to be more prepared as a GM. He never books a full show. How else is he always able to make match of the night of? At least Adam Pearce is running a chaotic show. Aldis tries to pretend he has control. God, I love when we get a hot take in kayfabe. This is getting a yay. That Nick Aldis needs to get his locker room in order. Take some lessons from Crackdown and Monday Night Moonsault. We book a whole show. We make sure people are there. Sure, the whole roster's injured and mad at us, and I'm tearing up contracts on Monday nights. But Nick Aldis, you take a page out of Adam Pearce's book, and you book your show, and you control your wrestlers, and you don't let your wrestlers book your show. You book your own show. This is why we need an Adam Pearce versus Nick Aldis team versus team SmackDown versus Raw War Games match at Survivor Series, so Adam Pearce can take away all these Nick Aldis truthers and show them who the real #1 GM is in this real life mode. Hell yeah. This one says, seemingly running back Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax is absolutely stupid. We have already seen them feud and fight each other enough times. We need better. Tiffany needs better. I think I kind of mentioned this briefly when we were talking about, Chelsea Green and whatever. So this is getting a yay. Tiffany Stratton is so good. She's one of the best in ring, and just the women's division around her on SmackDown is just lacking. I really like the Jade feud, but then Jade lost, and now we're just kind of on pause for that. Bring in Nia Jax, they had a whole feud. They had the blow-off match, and I wish they would move on. My hope is that this is just a one-off, and I think it's gonna be. I don't think we're going back into a full-blown feud. I think we're gonna do a one-off. It's just something to book on the card. Something for this bum Nick Aldis to just get his card filled out. But again, that goes to Candice LeRae, Chelsea Green, Julia for some reason. I know she has the U.S. title, but my point is Julia with the women's division. How come Julia's not wrestling on TV? Julia's great. Where's Zelina Vega been? Tiffany Stratton can put on bangers. You just need to pair her up with some more dance partners and some new dance partners. She could be a great champion. I think her title reign has just seemed pretty lackluster because of the lack of opponents, booking, and storylines. My hot take is that you and Jimmy would make for a better and more entertaining commentary team. Whoa, hey, I appreciate the support, so that's getting a yay. But I do really love Joe and Wade. I think I talked about them a week or two ago where I think they complement each other really well. Joe Test still kind of gets that authentic pop from someone who hasn't followed WWE for as long and gets a genuine pop from crazy things like, whoa, that was crazy. Wade Barrett being way more the straight guy, way more content down the middle of, oh, he hit this move and he hit this move. Definitely leans heel commentator as well to Joe's kind of innocent, maybe babyface commentator style. But I appreciate the love. I'm thinking kind of like I said, put me and Jimmy on SmackDown versus Raw. Get us in the booking chairs. If my GM bros proved anything, give us the pen. If we're talking for real though, I would love to try out commentary. Even just add an indie show, get on the headset and try to call a match. I did have this idea for a video where maybe me and Jimmy watch a backyard wrestling match or some indie match and we put it on mute, and then me and Jimmy just without pausing, we just sit here and commentate it. Should I cut that out? No one steal idea. Copyright infringement, copyright, trademark. No one steal idea, it's mine. I think that'd be fun to give it a go, but I appreciate that. This one says, SmackDown has become worse and it's not getting any better since moving to 2 hours. Yes, more time won't fix a bad show, but the bad shows were not as prominent. Okay, I mean, it almost seems like you're pointing out the coincidence that I think this is. I don't think there's a whole lot of correlation between SmackDown being 2 hours long and it being a bad show. I do agree, SmackDown has not been hitting, and I do agree. I think that time period was when it went to 2 hours. But also, let's not revise history here. When it was 3 hours, it had its good weeks, but it also had its bad weeks. SmackDown was still not the show when it was 3 hours. I do still stand behind moving it 2 hours was the move. And as we see on Raw, they only have 30 extra minutes that they do. They really just go to 2.5 these days. Does that added 30 minutes minutes really make a show that much better, that much worse? No. Like, sure, you do get time to put more wrestlers on the card. Like, that is just kind of a fact. With more time, you get more time. But I don't really think there's a whole lot of correlation. I would almost even call it a fallacy that SmackDown is worse because of the time frame, because they're not even making good use of the 2 hours that they're having. You know what I mean? So like I said, I'm not really coming at you necessarily, because you do point out in your second sentence where it's like, yeah, more time won't fix a bad show. But I do agree with you, mainly pointing out the coincidence of, like, SmackDown kind of going downhill once they moved to 2 hours. Does that mean there's less focus on it? Does it seem less of an importance backstage? These are answers I don't have the questions I don't have the answer to. So I guess, like, technically this is a yay, because I don't think your point is that it should be like 3 hours or 2 hours is bad. But yeah, I just gotta make it clear. I don't think there's any correlation, but like I could see like seeing the coincidence and being like, well, that's to blame for that. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying anyone's wrong. I don't know. That Drew McIntyre promo was amazing. They need to pull the trigger on him now and give him that world championship. Cody is better at chasing than as a champ. Okay, I mean, like, yeah, I guess technically, like, the babyface is usually better, especially if someone like Cody is usually better at chasing. But I really like Cody as champ. I know some people don't love it, whatever, but I really like it. He just got it back, so I think it's fair to give him some time with it. So that part, I'm not necessarily, whatever. But the main part, the first part of your take, I agree. The Drew McIntyre promo was incredible. They sure do need to pull the trigger. I want to see him with the world title in 2025 so bad. He deserves it. He was talking about, like, the parallels between him and Cody. He was saying, like, oh, Cody attacked me. I was just defending myself. And if someone threatens me, I'm going to beat down someone. He called himself, like, he said, I'm going to be your nightmare or whatever. Scottish nightmare. He didn't say that. I said that. Trademark. But yeah, Drew feels at the hottest he's been in a while. And like, we had to get through a jelly roll match and a Logan Paul thing. But now we're back to Drew McIntyre fighting and chasing and clawing for that world championship as a heel. And again, he's back into his like realism thing, which I really like. He's saying stuff like, I deserve it and I want the title for me and you guys are all going to forget about me. And, I got to cement my legacy and this, that, and the other. I love Drew. He's honestly, after that promo and after like the past couple weeks and attacking Cody, he's been like my favorite. I've always liked him, but he's jumped up there in the past couple weeks. So I want to see him with the world title so bad. And then I said this in previous videos, then you can move on from just this WWE championship only needing to be, or only being allowed to be held by 3 people. And now one of them is out with John Cena. This title can be held more than Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Let's get back to having more people hold it, more top guys hold it. Drew McIntyre can hold this title and then give him different feuds. Give more people opportunities to face Drew McIntyre. And Cody Rhodes will eventually get it, but you can take a pause on that and have Drew McIntyre run as the world champion. Do I think it's happening in Paris? No. I do think Cody's going to retain in Paris. Then if Drew loses, you might have to go back. You may have to go back to the back of the line, and that would be more time that Drew's not champion, but maybe he does win in Paris. I don't know. This isn't predictions. It'd be cool, especially like being overseas in Paris would be really cool. I get he's like Scottish, doesn't really make sense. It makes as much sense as like, as much as I love the Vincent Van Gogh stuff, Vincent Van Gogh isn't French and he's not like from Paris and whatever. Did I give this a yay yet? I kind of lose track if I give yays and boos sometimes, but this is getting a yay. Let's pull the trigger on Drew McIntyre before the year ends. I think it would be really, really cool and refreshing. I think that's the biggest thing. It'd be refreshing for Drew McIntyre to be world champion. And that's that. And with that said, that's the end here. Folks, thank you for watching. Please let me know what you agreed with, what you disagreed with. Please subscribe. We're creeping up on 10K. I'm trying to hit 10K before the end of August. Check out my Patreon for match watch-alongs. And other than that, check out everything else on the channel, on the Stash Club channel. Podcast out now, blah, blah, blah. You get it. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time. Bye.